DBS community, welcome back to another Dragon Ball Super video here with Kyle Chris, bringing you guys another deck profile for Mecha Frieza. This is, I think, my fourth or fifth deck profile with Mecha Frieza. I know it's been a little bit since we've been posting a lot of videos. There may have been a video or two posted before this. But I've been working very hard to try and come up with some different, just some slightly new ideas since Evolution Booster. And this is a different variant of one of the two different variants of Mecha Frieza that I've been working on. One of which I'll show you now. The other one will probably come out later because I don't know if I'm playing it in a regional or not. And you'll probably hear that in a few of my videos because I don't want to give away all my secrets in some of these decks until after I try them out. And hopefully top with them. So this is gonna be a Mecha Frieza list here. It's ratios are slightly different than some. This is a very fun deck, and I'll go over it, kind of the idea of it once we start getting into some of those very special tech cards. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think of the deck. If you guys like it, if you guys don't, hit the bell for all the notifications. We post videos weekly on the channel, and we'll go over the deck here. So leader, I'm not going to go over too much, but the idea of Mecha Frieza, if you guys don't know, is you play out extra cards for free that are 1 or 2 cost, and it just allows you to control the game with using your energy and your health as your resources. So first card is going to be Universe 9 Assemble. Staple in the deck. You tap it. You tap on the Unawakened side, you tap 1, take a life to play this, draw 2, then play out a 2-cost Universe 9. This is a very, very good card. You want a mulligan for at least one of these in your turn 1 hand. So the targets, we have 2 Basil and 4 Chapel. This is pretty standard. Chapel, when your opponent attacks, you can tap an energy, allows you to put a lot of your plays into action, and then Basil's a 1-drop that draws you a card. Also gains 15k power and dual attack if your opponent has more than 5 cards in rest mode. So that's the small Universe 9 set there. A good addition, and this is a card that you'll see in a different deck, is going to be the Sorrel and Hop. Currently in this deck, it doesn't make any sense with how I have the ratios, but in another version of the deck, this may be a card that you end up playing. This also came out of the Evolution Booster set. This allows you to, it's a blocker, but the very important thing about this card is that if you have a Universe 9 card in play, this card has its energy exhaust negated, which is very, very important. So this is a card that you can look into. It is a very, very good card. I think a lot better than some people are giving it credit for. Small slug package, 3 and 3. Slug is still a very, very good yellow card. It just depends on how you're playing the deck. It's not good in every variant of the deck. It's not always good as a turn 2 play. It has its place, but it's a small enough package to where you can run it in almost any yellow deck. And for 6 cards, it's a pretty good value. Mainly because this card allows forces your opponent to remove it. If you have Bond 2 and this card's in rest mode, your opponent cannot draw cards off of other abilities other than their leader. So makes them have to remove it. For Unisons, I run a 3-2 split, 3 of the Metacoolers and 2 of the Vegetas. Metacooler actually is very, very good, and it's starting to get a little bit better. I know everyone is just obsessed with the Vegeta Unison, as they should be. It's a very, very strong Unison. However, this card here gives you extra draw power, and also has the ability to rejuvenate, which I think is going to become more prevalent in the next set. I think just having the ability to just gain life is going to be very important, and using the super combo with that is very, very good. But whenever you activate a mono yellow extra card, this card gains a marker once per turn. The -1 is you take a mono yellow extra card, put it underneath this, and then draw a card. So just gives you an extra draw power, especially if you do something like you Universe 9 Assemble to draw 2 cards and then do whatever, and then suck up the Universe 9 Assemble under this to then draw another card. So basically you paid relatively, the most would be 2 energy, the minimum would be 0 to draw 3 cards, which is very, very good. And then Vegeta being a floodgate, being a game ender, just being probably the best yellow unison in the game. You don't have to run it at a 4 of in most decks. You just need to see it maybe once or twice. You play for 3 energy, tap another battle card to add a marker to it, then -3 to tap an energy and then gain dual attack double strike. so just using it as one of your game enders. 2 Prideful Transformations. If you're running just Vegeta, this is a very bad card because you're never going to have at 2 energy. At 2 markers. But since you're running Meta Cooler, this is a very good card to run because it is a free play. You can tap the card coming into play, and then it has blocker as well. 2 Poutine. Chapel is our main trigger of this, and obviously our leader ability being able to tap a card. You play Poutine out, Poutine 6 on the board. Anytime your opponent plays a battle card using a skill, you can tap it. If they play a card, if they activate a counter skill, you also can tap a card. Very good in matchups like Blue Baby, because they always have counters. So once this card hits the board, if this card hits the board, your opponent uses the Gohan negate, or they use something else like that, you can just tap that card. Now they don't get the extra swing off of it because it has Servant, so it can't restand. Also, anytime your opponent plays a card with Overwhelm, a lot of times they'll forget, and they'll play with Overwhelm and just go, okay, Poutine, tap it, and they go, okay, that's unfortunate. 2 Bergamo. We don't have a ton of cards that tap in the deck outside of the leader ability, Poutine, and then the Chappelle, so we don't need 4 in this version of the deck. But once this card does trigger, you can activate it, tap 2 energy, tap a battle card ignoring barrier, or one of each. This allows you to secure turns both offensively and defensively. 3 T-Blow. T-Blow is a very good card. Every yellow player should have a full play set of T-Blow. Negates a card coming into play 3 or less, and then you could choose a battle card or a unison with no specific cost, and then negate its skills for the turn, which is very, very good. This card's always free in the deck, whether you're paying a life or you're paying 1 energy for it. It's an extremely good card. You charge one of them, you use the other 2. 4 Krillins. We're not running Zamasus in this deck. We're trying to focus on a heavy draw engine with just the Meta Cooler, the Universe 9, and this as well. Being able to pitch a card to the bottom of the deck, draw 2, helps us just sift through the deck a little bit stronger. 3 Final Flash. Give a battle card or a leader plus 15k, and then you can blank any card on the board, ignoring barrier. So if you're going in the mirror matchup, they play a Bojack, they play a Slug. You can just use this, blank that card, and now they don't have a card to use. So very, very powerful. Also just good for pushing for game, just because it is a 15k, and all of these cards are being used in every color now, so they're all super expensive. So if you didn't buy them when they came out in set 9, they're really difficult to get now. So the tech in the deck is going to be your worst nightmare. So this is the Mecha Frieza archetype, where this card you play from your hand if you have 3 or more energy. Yep. So you can only play this on turn 3 or more, or past, which is fine. You play this and you choose a Frieza in your hand with Mecha in its name, and you play it from your hand. This card is, I wish it said from your deck. If this card said from your deck or your hand, this archetype would be broken. But the fact that it says just from your hand, it's not as good as something like Universe 9 Assemble, but it is, the way that you draw in this deck, you should be able to get a Mecha Frieza in your hand. So one of the Mecha Friezas we run is the Returning Terror. This also got reprinted, although it's super, super cheap. I don't know why they reprinted it. But it's a dual attack 15k. When this card's played, you can pitch a card from your hand to choose 2 of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode, KO them, and then this card gets double strike. So it becomes a 15k dual attack double strike, which is pretty good. Not a bad stat line there. And then the other one is the Terror, the Clan of Terra, Mecha Frieza. Comes into play as a 20k double strike. Your opponent reveals their hand, you choose 1 battle card from it, play it in rest mode. This is very good, because this allows you to get some sort of idea of what they have going on in their hand. They have super combos, you play out the super combos. If they have really any sort of card that you don't want them to play, to have a play effect, you just play from your hand. It says choose up to 1 too, so you don't have to choose something if they don't have anything to choose. But it's always a good idea just to do it, and then you can blank that card with the Vegeta. But I'll go over this as to why this is really, really important in a little bit. This card also has double strike. I would run 4 of each of these if they were not 10Ks. That's one of the problems, is that these cards are 10Ks and not 5Ks for combo. So if they were 10Ks, this archetype would be amazing, but they decided to make them all 10Ks, so it's more of a tech piece than anything. 2 Nimbus, because they're shiny. No, just space-wise, we have 2 of them. We have a lot of other cards that can just stop our opponent from attacking, whether they're you know, being able to just tap stuff or blank card before they come into play. So just having 2 Nimbus is fine. 2 is good. 1 Champa and 1 Cooler. Super defensive play, super offensive play, giving double strike, and then being able to stop any negate or counter that comes into play. 2 Cold Bloodlust. So we have the normal Cold Bloodlust, and then you have the new Cold Bloodlust, which is called Death Blaster. So Cold Bloodlust, just a card being played has skills negated for the turn. This card says if you have 2 or more mono yellow extra cards in your drop area and you warp them, and they're not copies of this, the card that's being played is played in rest mode with its skills negated. So it is a little bit better version of a Cold Bloodlust. Forces your opponent to, I mean, the card that comes into play is put in rest mode, and then it's blanked and then put in the rest mode. This card just blanks a card, but then your leader also can tap a card. So if the card has, you know, barrier, obviously this card would be really, really good against it. The really funny part about this is, so if your opponent plays a deck where they play cards out from skills. So let's say they play Shin Shinran. Your opponent plays Shin Shinran. They tap 6, they play all their Shin Shinrans. You play this. Every one of their cards comes in rest mode with their skills negated for the turn. Because it's the card being played. So if it's being played off of a skill, these counterplay cards that say basically counterplay cards that don't say choose, every card that's being played off of that skill is played in rest mode, unless it has deflect, of course. But that's really funny. It's just a really, really good card, and it just gives you another option of another Cold Bloodlust that you're going to take a life to do this anyways. And the only requirement is you just have 2 extra mono yellow cards, and I don't think they have to be different names. Nope. So they can be 2 U9 Assembles, they can be 2 Flying Nimbus, they can be any other copies. They just cannot be other copies of Death Blaster. So I mean, realistically, you only need to run 1 Death Blaster anyways. It just gives you another copy of Cold Bloodlust. 2 of the big finishers in the deck is going to be Bergamo and Overrealm Bardock. You have a 25k dual attack for free. If all your opponent's energy is tapped with this card comes in for 4 energy. It's a 25k triple attack barrier that says that when this card's played, choose all your opponent's battle cards ignoring barrier, switch on the rest mode, and then they cannot restand until mine next main phase. So if they have a whole board, you play this card, tap their whole board, swing 3 times, and now their whole board can't restand. So it's a very good card. The reason why we don't run a super crazy finisher is because we do run the Heroines Legion secret rare. So the idea of this card, the -5 isn't very good in this deck, but the ability to choose any of your opponent's battle cards 7 or less and gain control of it can end up winning you the game, you know, on its own. So anything other than secret rares you can take control over. So if they play and just any sort of battle card and they just decide to go for game with it, you can just take control over it with this. If it's a card that has barrier, for instance, if I can grab it real quick, you can blank it with Final Flash and then just pay 1 energy to then take control over it. So it's more so a this is more so a reactive deck because we're not playing any blue yellow, so there's not a lot of energy manipulation going on. There's no apes, but just being able to just take control over one of your opponent's battle cards, they just decide to swing it and they just go for game. You just go, okay, I'm just gonna take that card, and now what? So it's a very fun, cheeky little secret rare. Supreme Kai obviously is very good as well. Xenocell's obviously good too, but this card is it is really funny. I think this card will start to get better the more Heroines Legion we see. Currently with yellow, there's not a ton that you would play, but hopefully in the future we get some better cards for it. So, but that's what I have for my Mecha Frieza deck. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think of the deck itself, and I'll see you guys in the next video.